Another bill by this member, which I think fundamentally attacks the rights of young people. I do find it a bizarre situation also to be agreeing with some of the contributions made by the government, but I still find it a bit rich for the government to claim that they're against this bill because they value the young and because they're interested in youth unemployment as an issue, because I think the scorecard of the government on youth issues is dismal. And I was reflecting on those as I was preparing my contribution today for this House, and the list looks something like this: boot camps, failed boot camps for young offenders, treating child offenders as adults, targeting students who are struggling to pay loans after tertiary education, capping enrolments in polytechs and university and turning away 8,000 young people, trashing youth health centres, cutting funding to the Youth Workers Association, and if they go ahead and support VSM, Voluntary Student Union membership, I will be adding that to the list of lost services also. But there is also something to be said for the absence of the government's action on some critical issues, and I would add youth unemployment to that list. This bill, I think, naively purports to be addressing that issue of youth unemployment. But I think it's an antiquated and discredited argument to claim that if youth are paid less, we will fix the issue, rather than simply perhaps shifting unemployment around. And we do have an evidence base from within New Zealand to discredit that argument with. Labor increased the youth minimum wage by 126% and 81% respectively for the two different age groups in question. At the very same time, youth unemployment fell to 11.8% in New Zealand, some of the lowest levels that we have seen. Now, no one in this House is denying that youth unemployment now is high and a significant issue that we should all be concerned about. In fact, it's an issue that the entire OECD is struggling with, but only 9 countries have looked at youth unemployment rates as a potential way of addressing that. When was the last time that youth unemployment was as high as it is now? And the member did raise the significant youth unemployment numbers we face. In the 90s. In the 90s, when the youth minimum wage was in full swing. I've spoken to people who work in the area of the labour market at an academic level in New Zealand, and they tell me that looking at moving around minimum wage rates for young people is simply not the answer from an evidence-based perspective. So what will fix the situation? Well, there's no point saying that these young people would have jobs if we simply pay them less if the jobs aren't available in the first place. Job creation in New Zealand is a significant issue. Skills training for our young people is a significant issue. Making sure that they're educated in the areas where we have gaps in New Zealand. Did I hear anyone say the skills strategy may have contributed to this, but the government decided it was best suited to the shelves? All of this would have contributed to our youth unemployment issue, and instead, the only response that we get from a party in Parliament on this, Sir Roger Douglas, is that we should simply pay young people less. In fact, one of the arguments I heard him speak of was that by paying young people equal pay for equal work, was that somehow paying them equitably across the board with peers doing the same job, that somehow this would contribute to them choosing to join youth gangs. I mean, it speaks to me as being a completely abhorrent argument to make, that somehow we are sending a message to young people that we don't value them. What sends a message to young people that they are not valued, and was certainly the message I took when I was paid yet less as a young person for a job that I was doing that was exactly the same as an older peer, was that I was not valued as a young person. That was the message I got. And I have asked young people for their view on this bill. I have spoken to young people about this. I've had one young person tell me that they agree with the member's bill. One. And when I asked him whether or not he felt that having a different minimum wage would allow him to have a decent wage to survive on, he said yes. I asked him how he would pay the rent. He pointed out that his mum and dad covered that one for him. I don't believe that this is a realistic bill that addresses significant issues that young people are facing. I hope that we come back to this House and debate the real issues around youth unemployment.